The sledgehammer crashed through the wall with a deafening crack, dust exploding like a ghost from my husband's grave. I stood frozen in the doorway of his old office, heart slamming against my ribs as the contractor, a burly man named Rico, swung again. Plaster crumbled, revealing a hidden cavity behind the oak paneling. But it wasn't insulation or wiring that tumbled out. It was a stack of envelopes, yellowed and bound with a rubber band, spilling onto the sawdust-strewn floor like secrets too heavy to stay buried. I lunged forward, knees buckling on the rough hardwood, snatching them up before Rico could react. "What the hell?" he muttered, his voice muffled by the respirator mask dangling around his neck. The air reeked of mildew and fresh-cut lumber, but all I could smell was betrayal, sharp, metallic like blood. My fingers trembled as I tore open the top envelope. Bank statements. Not ours. These were from a shadow account, transfers siphoned from our joint business funds. Dates lined up with Mark's late nights at the office. And the recipient, his business partner Elena, my best friend, the woman who'd held my hand at his funeral, whispering condolences while her eyes gleamed with something I now recognized as triumph. Fury ignited in my chest, a wildfire scorching through denial. Mark hadn't died of a heart attack from overwork, as the doctors claimed. The stress lines on his face, the arguments I'd overheard. It was her. She'd been bleeding him dry, pushing him to the edge for her own greed. And me. I'd trusted her, shared wine-soaked confessions about our crumbling marriage, never suspecting she was the fracture. Humiliation twisted in my gut like a knife. How many times had she smiled at me, knowing? I shoved the envelopes into my bag, forcing a brittle laugh for Rico. Old tax stuff. Nothing exciting. My voice cracked, but he just grunted, wiping sweat from his brow with a gloved hand. The room spun. The mahogany desk where Mark had kissed me goodbye that last morning, the leather chair still indented from his weight. I fled to the kitchen downstairs, slamming the door against the renovation chaos. Alone I paced the cold tile, heartbeat echoing like a war drum. Resentment boiled over. For Mark's weakness, for Elena's deceit, for my own blindness. But beneath it, obsession flickered to life. I imagined her face crumpling as I exposed her, ruined her boutique business, her perfect life. No, that was too clean. I wanted her to feel the isolation I'd endured this past year, the hollow ache of loss. Doubt crept in as I brewed coffee, the machine's gurgle mocking my resolve. Was this real? Maybe the statements were forged, a misunderstanding. But no. Cross-referencing them on my phone against our old records confirmed it. Hundreds of thousands gone. Enough to kill a man already frayed by our failing marriage. Guilt gnawed at me. Had I pushed him into her arms with my endless demands? Well, this was her poison. I sat at the table, fingers tracing the envelope's edges, planning in whispers to myself. I'd play nice, invite her over for closure, lure her into confession. But fear whispered back. What if she suspected? What if revenge made me the monster? That night, I dreamed of Mark's ghost, his eyes pleading from the shadows. I woke sweating, heart racing, and texted Elena. "Hey, Office Reno unearthed some memories. Coffee tomorrow." Her reply buzzed instantly. "Of course, love. Miss you." The word love curdled in my stomach. I stared at the ceiling, cold resolve hardening like ice. This wasn't just anger. It was a vow. She'd pay, subtly at first. Small leaks to mutual friends about her financial troubles. Build the noose slowly. The next morning, Elena arrived in her designer coat, perfume cloying like overripe fruit. We hugged in the foyer, her embrace too tight, too performative. "How's the Reno going?" she asked, eyes darting to the plastic-sheeted doorway. I poured coffee, hands steady despite the storm inside. Messy but therapeutic. Found some old papers. Her smile faltered, just a flicker, but it fueled me. We sat in the living room, sunlight slanting through blinds like prison bars. "Mark would be proud," she said softly, sipping. I nodded, suppressing rage. "He trusted you so much." The words hung, pregnant with unspoken accusation. She shifted, crossing her legs. Tension coiled, a spring ready to snap. As we talked, I probed gently about the business, her recent vacations. Her answers were evasive, laced with false sympathy. He was under so much pressure, she sighed. Inside I seethed, you put him there. Fantasies flashed, confronting her now, watching her crumble. But no. Slow burn. I needed proof, leverage. By the time she left, hugging me again, I was a coiled viper, plotting her downfall. That afternoon I dug deeper, hiring a discreet PI via email. Moral conflict tugged. Was this justice or obsession? But heartbreak won. She'd stolen more than money. She'd stolen my grief's purity. Weeks blurred into a haze of calculated moves. The PI's report arrived in a plain envelope, slipped under my door like a serpent's whisper. Photos. Elena meeting shady investors, forged signatures on loans in Mark's name. She'd framed him posthumously, shifting blame for the embezzlement to protect her skin. Humiliation surged anew. Our friends had pitted me as the widow of a failed businessman. No more. Resentment morphed into obsession. I barely ate, pacing the half-renovated office at night, the exposed wires dangling like veins. Guilt flickered. Mark wouldn't want this venom. But cold resolve silenced it. She'd dance on his grave. I'd bury her alive. I invited her to dinner, framing it as reconciliation. 1 year mark, let's honor him. Her acceptance came with emojis, masking whatever suspicion lurked. The house smelled of roasted lamb, a dish Mark loved, but the air hummed with unspoken fury. She arrived flushed, wine bottle in hand. To new beginnings, she toasted, clinking glasses. I smiled, poison in my veins. Dialogue flowed naturally at first, reminiscing about Mark's quirks, her laughter too bright. But I steered it. Found some odd bank stuff in the office wall. Transfers to you. Her fork paused mid-air, eyes widening fractionally. What? Must be a mistake. Tension thickened, the grandfather clock ticking like a bomb. I leaned in, voice low. No mistake, Elena. You drained him. Killed him. Denial flashed across her face, then manipulation. Anna, you're grieving. Let me explain, it was for the business. He agreed. Ways. Heartbreak clawed at me. Our friendship a facade. I pressed. He agreed to bankruptcy. To leaving me nothing. She faltered, resentment bubbling up. You were always so needy. He confided in me. Suppressed rage erupted inside, but I held back, savoring the slow unravel. Prove it. She stammered, excuses crumbling. Fear etched her features. Moral complexity hit me. Was she desperate too? Had Mark enabled her? Doubt surged, but obsession won. I revealed the PI's folder, photos splayed like cards. I'll expose you. Ruin you. She begged, tears streaking mascara. Please, Anna. We were friends. The word twisted the knife. Friends don't betray. As she sobbed, I felt a hollow victory. But then the twist. In her desperation, she confessed more. It wasn't just money. Mark and I. We were in love. Shock jolted me. Romantic betrayal atop financial? Photos hadn't shown that. Humiliation crashed like waves. I'd mourned a faithful ghost. Fury blinded. You whore. She lunged for the folder, but I was faster, shoving her back. In the scuffle, she hit her head on the table edge, a sickening thud. She slumped, blood pooling on the tile. Panic seized me. Guilt flooded. This wasn't planned. I called 911, fabricating a slip on spilled wine. But as paramedics arrived, her eyes fluttered open, whispering, I'll tell them everything. Cold resolve returned. In the hospital waiting room, I anonymously tipped off the authorities about her embezzlement, attaching evidence. Poetic justice. She awoke to handcuffs, her life unraveling as mine had. Months later, the office gleamed anew, betrayal's ghosts exorcised. But the twist lingered. My hands weren't clean. Revenge's price. a soul-stained gray. I stared at Mark's photo, whispering, "Forgive me." Heartbreak echoed, but so did peace. Betrayal birthed a monster, yet in its jaws I found freedom.